is your part, if there was any, and what is there that you can shed light on?
Well, thank you very much. Somebody finally asked the tough questions. Jenny is a very capable individual, and I'm proud to. I was proud that she was my treasurer, and I'm looking forward to the day when she's going to rejoin my staff if she'll come back. I feel bad about what she's done, what they've done to her. They should never have gone after her the way they did. She was a pawn in the whole process.
Absolutely.
What they've been trying to do is to get me. For 4 years, they've been investigating my campaign fundraising. Look, I raised funds like every other candidate in this city. I wish I didn't. I wish I was Mike Bloomberg. I could write myself a big check and deposit it into my bank account. No. I got to raise funds like every other candidate. But I do two things differently. I pride myself on having stricter limits on the contributions that I accept. I don't accept contributions from anybody who does business with the city of New York. All my rivals do, but I do not accept those contributions. And I'm the first comptroller in history that does not accept contributions from Wall Street, because they all want to get their hands on our pension funds. I don't want to have any potential problems there, conflicts of interest. So I don't accept contributions from Wall Street. And with all of those tough restrictions that I put on my own fundraising, I'm the only one who they're investigating the fundraising of. You know, they accused me through the New York Times of having a massive straw donor scheme where so many of my contributors are fake donors. After 4 years in this entire trial, during the trial, it came out that, yeah, I have a few straw donors. Some business people brought in contributions, and then they reimbursed these people for the contributions they made to my campaign. How the heck is my campaign supposed to realize that? We rely on personal checks and forms that are filled out. I think many of you have been involved in these kinds of fundraisers. You give a personal check, and you fill out your contributor form. That's all a campaign can do. No campaign is expected to ask for 6 months of bank statements to determine whether, in fact, that contribution form is valid, or to hire an investigator to go check their home address and business address. We go by the contributor form, like every other campaign is allowed to do. And so that's what we've done, and we've always followed the rules. And you know, look, I've never had a difficulty with fundraising. Every campaign I've run, whether it be city council or city controller or now mayor, we're fully funded. We always get to the maximum spending limit. Why would I mess around with any of that stuff? So we've been extra clear. And why have we been extra clear? It's also been the last 20 years in this country. Anytime Asian candidates run for office, or anytime non-Asian candidates come to the Asian community for significant amounts of fundraising, there's all sorts of questions. Questions that, oh, maybe they're foreigners, or the governments are getting money into our political campaigns. All sorts of suspicions. Hillary Clinton had to return $800,000 of contributions. My campaign, after all of this, after these straw donations were uncovered based on testimony of these business people at the trial, no information that my campaign could have known about in advance. Even after all that, they found 14 contributions that were improperly reimbursed. So we've returned those contributions, a total of $11,000, in a period that I raised $3.5 million.
So how do you see this fiasco impacting your campus?
Okay, so look, after 4 years of this investigation, I only found out about the investigation about a little more than a year ago. They've reviewed 1 million documents. They have interrogated thousands of my supporters and contributors. They wiretapped my cell phone for 18 months, which I have heard is unprecedented. Mob bosses get their phones tapped for a couple of months. And after all this, what do they have to say about me? Absolutely nothing, except in the summation of the trial 2 weeks ago, the prosecutor gets up and says, I must have known about all of this stuff. Number one, about what stuff? What did they prove? And number two, because we use code words. We use code words like, you know, like Richard's event. If Richard was the host of a fundraiser for me, we call it Richard's event. And that's how, somehow, I must know that Richard's giving every donor the money to make that donation into my campaign. You know, I hope Mr. Toterum will have a fundraiser for me. Guess what we're going to call that event? Well, I'm afraid to call it Tolerance event now. Now I think I have to call it that event on that day.
On Liberty Avenue.
Yes, exactly. Because I don't want to get you in trouble either.
So how do you address the question, the perception that you cannot win this race?
So the perception is only perception. Because even if you look at the numbers, we're completely viable. All right? My poll numbers, according to Quinnipiac and Marist, my poll numbers have been consistently low throughout all this stuff, all of this terrible year and a half of the worst publicity anybody can ask for. My poll numbers have hovered right around 10%. 10% of the voters of this city support me, even reading bad article after bad article after bad article. And am I far behind two of my competitors? No, I'm in the same margin of error as they are. They're both, both bills are in the low teens. And so we're pretty much statistically even. But if you look at the poll results, you see breakdowns for white voters, for black voters, and for Hispanic voters. I just feel like there's something missing there. I don't know what it is, but something seems to be missing. All right? Obviously, the Asian American voters, fastest growing population. My campaign and dozens of organizations throughout the city have been registering voters, registering Democrats. And people are excited about this election. And at this point, a lot of people are upset about this ridiculous ongoing investigation that has yielded basically nothing. And so people are motivated to come out to vote. The Asian American vote will be 15% of this year's prime vote.
Would you get rid of the campaign finance board?
No, I wouldn't. I've always relied upon. What was that?
Would you restructure them?
No, I wouldn't do anything to them. It's not the campaign finance board. It's this federal investigation that's been going on. I don't know who started the investigation. But look, the point is that my numbers are not around 10%. Maybe I won't get every single last Asian American vote, but I've been working in the Asian community my whole life. And whether it be here in Queens or in the Bronx, where we have a fast-growing Bangladeshi community, or in Brooklyn, where we have fast-growing both Chinese, Pakistani, and Bangladeshi communities, or even in Staten Island. We've been working these neighborhoods for a long time. And the Asian vote will be 15% of this vote. I'm going to get the vast majority of that 15%. So my numbers are not 10%. It's closer to the mid-20s that way. Add to the fact that I'm the only one from Queens, the only candidate from Queens. And these neighborhoods here are fertile ground for me. I've been working in these neighborhoods all the years that I was in the city council and the years that I've been in citywide office. And then I'll have tremendous labor support.
Most people in Southeast Queens support you. I've been around. It's about time that we just rally behind you and just stop looking for other candidates.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you something else. Last week there were 5 Democratic clubs in this city who took votes. Right? Now, a lot of Democratic clubs don't really take votes. But these are so-called reform clubs that have significant memberships. And they take secret ballots of their memberships to decide who they're going to endorse. It's not like the elected official stands up and says, okay, we're going to endorse this person, and that's that. No, these clubs take secret ballots. And out of the 5 clubs, we didn't win the vote at 1 club, or 2 clubs, or even 3 clubs. We won the vote at every single one of these clubs. Clubs on the Upper West Side, in the Village, on the Lower East Side. Not a single Asian voter in any of these clubs, but we still won the vote in each and every one of those. So I don't know what caused this investigation into my fundraising. I don't care. I've said from the get-go, if anybody thinks that there's any wrongdoing in my campaign, investigate us fully and thoroughly. In fact, I launched my own investigation when the New York Times story came out about 1.5 years ago. And then when I found out that there's a federal investigation, then I pulled that investigation back because we didn't want to interfere with the federal investigation. And I said, okay, well, here it is. Take a look at everything, but just do it as quickly as you can. I didn't know at the time that it had already been going on for 3 years at the time. So at this point, after 4 years, what do you really have? They have Jenny. What do they have against Jenny? Attempted fraud. What was her attempted fraud? She called her ex-boyfriend, asked him to make a contribution, and offered to reimburse him for that contribution. Well, that was a mistake. It was a serious error in judgment. Was it really a federal offense? The contribution, he sent the contribution over, but she wound up returning it and not accepting it. Federal offense here? You know, we've got elected officials who are accused of taking money into their pockets, and they're faced with 20 years in jail. Jenny, she's faced with 45 years in jail. I mean, really? You know, where's the balance or the sense in any of this stuff? The point is, I don't know what caused this investigation or who I upset, all right? But I do my job as an elected official independently and vigorously. I pushed the envelope when I was a member of the city council. I was out there when it came to hate crimes, particularly against South Asians in the aftermath of September 11th. I've been in the Sikh community talking about how it's a discriminatory policy to require men to shave their beards and get rid of the turbans in order for them to put on the NYPD uniform. In cases of outright discrimination against business owners, I've been there. And, you know, in the process, I'm sure I upset a lot of people. As comptroller, you know, we stopped this multi-billion-dollar defense contractor from continuing to build the city out of hundreds of millions of dollars and forced them to repay New York City $500 million. You know, I've not been shy about criticizing Mayor Bloomberg because I think I happen to disagree with him on a lot of things. He might be right, I might be right, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to agree to something just because he says he wants to do it. So I've done my job vigorously, and if anybody wants to come after me, they haven't been able to criticize my auditing, or the contract review, or my pension investments, or the bond underwriting, or the stuff that I'm responsible for as comptroller. So they go after my fundraising. They're welcome to do it, but even so, after all this time, what have they found? They have found $11,000 of straw donations, which came out during the trial, but there's no way my folks could have known about it. And that's $11,000 out of $3.5 million of contributions. So it's been rough for me as an elected official. They call me the embattled comptroller. The embattled comptroller. Well, I'll tell you, no matter what office I hold, I'm always going to be pushing the envelope and challenging the status quo. Because that's the reason I ran for office in the first place. I don't have to be in office. And my wife Jenny would probably be happier if I wasn't in office. First few years I was coming home late at night. She's like, what the hell happened? You're making you're doing half the work at twice the pay. I mean, twice the work at half the pay. It's like, what happened to you? But, you know, I ran for office to create change. That's true when I ran for office as city controller. And that's the reason why I want to get to City Hall, because I believe that strong changes are needed in this city to make life closer to the American dream that we all came here for. And I'm always going to be challenging the status quo. So as much as I'm the embattled controller now, come January 1st, I'm going to have a new title. I'm going to be called the embattled mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. He's one of the busiest people in the busiest city in the world, and he spent a lot of time with us tonight. Thank him again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Comptroller, we're going to take a group pic. We're going to take a group pic. So everyone come up. Everyone come up. We'll take a...
Yes, and